He ruled an empire. Then, he lost his mind. Power, prestige, rule over continents. For King George III, the British Empire wasn't just a realm. It was his identity, his burden, and ultimately, his undoing. He was the king who stood tall against Napoleon, who weathered revolutions, and who watched the sun rise and set over an empire on which it never truly set. But behind the gilded walls of Windsor Castle, a darker reality was unfolding. At just 22 years old, George ascended the throne in a moment of great promise. A monarch unlike any before him, devoted to duty, fiercely moral, and deeply in love with his wife, Queen Charlotte. He wanted to be a king of the people, a father to the nation, and for a time, he was. But history does not offer comfort to kings. In 1776, his most painful wound arrived, not through sword or cannon, but through ink and parchment. The American colonies declared independence. He didn't just lose territory, he lost control, and the world saw it. The king had been defied. The weight of power began to bend him, but it hadn't yet broken him. By the 1780s, the cracks were showing. George began to speak in rapid, jumbled sentences. He would talk for hours without pause, his words spilling like a flood without a dam. He laughed at nothing, wept at everything. He claimed to speak with angels and argued with trees. The court whispered. Ministers panicked. His doctors tried leeches and restraints. No one dared call it what it was, madness. His illness came in waves, at times lucid, at others lost in terrifying delusions. He would claw at his skin, scream into the silence, and forget the names of his own children. This was the monarch of the world's greatest empire, undone by something he couldn't see, couldn't fight, and couldn't escape. While George's mind crumbled, the empire carried on. Ministers ruled in his name, conquests expanded, rebellions brewed, and yet, in the heart of power, its figurehead was fading. The British monarchy survived. But the man within the crown was vanishing. In the last decade of his life, George lived in darkness, literally and metaphorically. Blind, deaf, and completely unfit to rule, he remained locked within Windsor Castle, guarded, pitied, and forgotten. He no longer remembered that he had once been king. He ruled for nearly 60 years. But history remembers him for what he lost, not just what he ruled. George III wasn't just the king who lost America. He was the king who lost himself. He ruled an empire. Then, he lost his mind. Power can conquer nations, but it can't always conquer the mind. For more untold stories from the past, where history meets the human soul, subscribe now.